Hello and welcome. This is my first week of making these diecast model videos, and I thought I would try to go back in time a little bit and explain where I come from and how I got into collecting. I guess, what you would call a pandemic collector. I started during the pandemic, and it uh, it was a very random thing in a lot of ways. And for you older collectors, I wanted to apologize in advance because I know that I'm far from the only pandemic collector or person who started collecting during the pandemic. And I think we've exacerbated the supply problems and the production problems and the distribution problems that we've all been facing. And if you go into our local stores now, we see lots of empty shelves, and I'm sorry for my part in that. But it's been a fun hobby, and I've enjoyed it far more than I ever would have expected. And for me, it started out in a very simple thing, and that was with the birth of a child. Not my child. I don't have any children, but my niece had a child, and this was the first boy that had been born into our family, for a couple generations. Well, since me, actually. And as a part of effort to try to bond with this child, I bought a 5 pack of Hot Wheels cars, and figured that I would carry one in my pocket each time that I went to see them, and give him one, and that would try to be kind of a thing that we would do. And unfortunately, before I got too far in this plan, we had the pandemic start, and then my niece and the child have moved away, and have not been able to do that. I was able to give him two of the 5 cars in the 5 pack, and that was where it ended. And then one day I was looking through my closet, and I came across this 5 pack, which had 3 cars remaining in it. Looked at it and was like, these are actually kind of cool. And so I pulled one out and started fidgeting with it on my desk, and just used it as a basic, fidget, something to hold in your hands, roll around, you know, help you think a little, I guess you could say. And the more I played with it, the more I looked at it, I was like, this thing's actually kind of cool. It's obviously very stylized. You can tell it's a Volkswagen Beetle, but it's you can tell, and it's got a roll cage, it's got a wing, it's a little bit goofy, but it captured my attention a little bit, and it occurred to me that maybe there's more out there. Maybe this isn't all Hot Wheels is. Because to me, this is what I thought of Hot Wheels. You know, Goofy graphics, big wheels. It's a completely fictional car, and this is when I was growing up. I didn't have really a whole lot of Hot Wheels. I wasn't really exposed to them, but this is the kind of thing that I thought they were. But after fidgeting with this one for a little bit, I decided to do a quick Google search and see what else was out there. And I'm a big racing fan. I'm a huge fan of the Group C era of prototype racing, which the heyday of that was in the late '80s and early '90s. And so I did a quick search to see, is there diecast for the these type of race cars, and I came across this Porsche from Hot Wheels. It's a replica of a Porsche 962, and this was in the early days of the pandemic, and going to stores and those kind of things was just not going to happen. So I ordered one of these. It was a little bit older, so I had to order it from a third party seller, and I ordered it off of Amazon, I believe. And while I was waiting for this to be delivered, I took a look around Amazon and said, to see what else is there. And I came across this, and I ordered this, and this was a direct Amazon shipment, so this came to me before, even though I ordered this one first. This got to me first. So this was the first car that I you can say the first car that I truly purchased as part of a collection, I guess. At the time I bought it, I didn't necessarily intend to become a collector, didn't expect to become a collector, but it was the first. And when it came, I opened it in the living room, and sitting next to my wife, I pulled it out of the box and I turned to her and said, "You better start planning the intervention because I'm going to end up with thousands of these things because this is really cool." And I don't know, what it was. It's still a Hot Wheels. It's still a little bit of a goofy model, but it's a pretty cool replica of the Jaguar. What is this thing called? I-Pace. Is it I-Pace? Basically, their electric SUV, which there was or is, I'm not sure if it's still going on, a racing series for these cars, and it's a little bit of a ridiculous racing series. If you ever watch it, I have never seen such poor driving in a race. They run into each other all the time. It's actually kind of ridiculous, but this is the first thing that entered my collection, and from there it's just been kind of crazy, and I think I'm well on my way to needing that intervention that I talked about with my wife, because while I'm not sure if I have thousands yet, I definitely have over 1,000, well over 1,000, I'm sure, and this car is really the thing that started it. And unfortunately, Hot Wheels is really not where it's at as far as these kind of things go. It's like they're cool. You can definitely tell that this is a Porsche 962, and this is certainly a livery that I remember seeing, because I used to really follow the IMSA GTP class, and the Momo livery on the Porsche was a very common car. It was never particularly competitive, as the races were always won by Jaguars or Nissans or Toyotas. Or some of the other Porsche teams. But I think his name was Jean Piero Moretti. Hopefully that's correct or close to correct. The owner of Momo, he always raced. He raced for a long time, and he ran various different cars. And with the Momo Porsche 962 probably being one of the most famous. And in the past, I had toyed with the idea of collecting slot cars. So there's some very cool models in slot cars that, like this one. This is it barely fits in here. Jaguar XJR9 LM, which is by far my favorite of the Group C cars. And these things are really cool. This is from a company called Slotted. And these are very detailed for what they are, but they're slot cars. They're designed to actually run on the track, and they're quite expensive. I believe that this one probably cost about $100, and they're big. They take up a lot of space, and after I got like 40 of these, I realized that I really don't know what I'm going to do with these, and they're just inconvenient. Even though I think they're awesome. So, like, we have the Momo Porsche here. We have a Porsche 962C from Slotted as well. So these are very, very cool, but they're huge, and they're kind of expensive. This type, the regular, non-special edition ones are like $60 each, and if I'm gonna buy hundreds of these at $60 each, and it's like, I don't know if I really want to do that. So that was, I guess I should have known that, based on that flirtation and my desire to kind of collect those, that if I did find something that was a little bit more convenient or to scale or easier to deal with, that I would be in a great deal of trouble. And that seems to be what has happened. But I certainly will say it's been a ton of fun, and I can't, and I've just been completely surprised at how much that has been. And then the other aspect of this is that I started watching videos on YouTube, and that that really has driven the explosion of of different options, and I've learned so many things from so many channels. And even though I haven't really been particularly active in the YouTube community until this week, basically, I have been watching for a long time. And so as part of this video, I just wanted to say thank you to all of the content creators, in the diecast collecting world. And particularly, I wanted to call out, Champion DJK has introduced me to so many different models. Mini GT, Auto World, obviously, he's a huge Auto World guy. Mini GT, Kyosho, Paris 64, Inno 64, all of these brands, even probably Greenlight. I probably learned about that through his channel. And then Diecastrum, who makes these cases available to Champion DJK, which he opens on his channel. I have watched so many of those videos as I started collecting Greenlight. And so it's a big thank you to him for making that happen as well. And then chasing diecast cars, I've learned so much about the European brands that exist that we don't get here in the United States, or that are hard to get here in the United States. And it's just been his weekly, or however often they happen, chase reports have become much must watch, I guess you could say. And those have been very influential for me. And I've been slowly tracking down some of the brands that I've seen on there. I've acquired Shuko and Majorette and Norev and a few others that I'm going to blank on at the moment, that I would have never known of otherwise. And then the diecast dude and his videos, and his peg hunting videos, and going into all the stores around Europe and seeing all the unique things that you can have there. It's really made me want to go back to Europe. We had a trip planned for last summer, which ended up being canceled among everything else for the because of the pandemic. And we were planning to visit Denmark and Ireland. And I'm now really looking forward to being able to combine the diecast hobby with a return to Europe, and hopefully find some cool stuff if I ever get another chance to go back. We'll see how that happens. And then over the last couple months, I've really been learning a ton from Small Model Cars and his very deep dive approach into looking at the cars, and just really going over every little aspect of the model, and reviewing it in fine form. And it's and there's been a number of things that I've picked up after seeing him, including this one right here, which I had found, or I had seen this in a store, and thought, oh, okay, it's an Aston Martin, and I really like Aston Martins. I have a small collection of Aston Martins. Maybe I'll add it, but I passed on it. I was like, I don't know. But he reviewed it on his channel, and after seeing that, and his direct comparison to the real car, and how good of this model really was, I came across it again, and I had to grab it this time. So that's very cool. And then Miggs Models is another channel that has been very influential, and he just runs through his collection of latest acquisitions, and similar kind of deep dive on the details of them. He obviously knows quite a lot about the actual cars, and what goes into the engines and the transmissions and all of those kind of things, and stuff that I really know nothing about. I couldn't fix a car if I couldn't change a tire on a car, I don't think, in reality anymore, which is kind of sad. But if my car breaks down, that's what dealerships are for. And then Twice Diecast is another channel that has gotten onto my radar recently, just because he seems to have such a fantastic attitude, and I've seen his name so often from other videos where they received a care package from him of stuff that he has collected, and they were exchanging these things, which I thought was a pretty pretty awesome thing. I learned of his channel originally on building the ultimate Matchbox car collection, which is quite a cumbersome name, but he also has a channel, Ultimate Diecast, which is a little bit more my speed, because I'm not really a hardcore Matchbox collection. I'm not super interested in the old Matchbox or any of that kind of stuff. I'm interested in newer stuff, especially race cars and muscle cars and all of those kind of things. So Ultimate Diecast is definitely a little bit more up my interests. And then one final channel I wanted to call out is the person who first subscribed to my channel, which doesn't have very many subscribers at this point, but the Quirky Garage 1999. And this was super exciting to me because he's from France, and I think that that's the most awesome thing in the world. Is I live in Arizona, and I don't really know very many people around the world, or well, I mean I know some, but and it's cool to that the first person who at least watched my videos enough to want to subscribe was from France. I think that's just an awesome thing. So I wanted to give him a shout out and say thank you for that. And I have no idea what I really want to do with this channel, or even if I'm going to continue it. I'll ramble a little bit and show off some stuff, I'm sure, and we'll see where it goes, if it goes anywhere, and doesn't really matter. I think I'll do it as long as I enjoy it, and that's kind of what I wanted to say. And so thank you for watching if you've managed to make it this far. Not the most exciting video, I'm sure, but talk to you next time. Thanks.